Alright, so I'm going to do this all off the cuff without a script or anything. This is Peace of Mind, which is a short film that I directed in my final year of university. It was done over the course of 2 semesters, 8 months. The first semester was done as a group project. Basically, the class worked with anyone that wanted to submit a script could, and then 2 of the scripts were chosen, and the class was divided into 2 crews. And those were the short films that were shot that semester. And then my second semester, I basically edited the whole thing down into what it is now, because it took a lot of extra editing from what the original cut was to fully, articulate my vision, if you will. So I'll be able to take you through some of the behind the scenes secrets and whatnot during this this silly little commentary for this silly little short film. So these apartment scenes were all shot on the last day of filming. We did a 3-day shoot, followed by pickups of the walking montages and the running shots at the end. About 5 months later, because it snowed this day, during shooting it started to snow, and the snow never melted until April, which was awesome. We did the pickups the night before the final cut was due in class, which was great. That was a late night of editing for me. There's a lot of improv going on in this short, especially later on. A lot of it just comes from Nick who is my steward, Nick being just a good actor. I wrote, when I was writing this script, I pretty much had Nick in mind. He was basically who I was picturing as Stuart. I hadn't seen him in a lot of things, but it just felt like a right part. Now, this puzzle can go to hell. This puzzle was the worst part of the entire short, because I had to put it all together. It was an $8 puzzle I got sealed from Value Village, and there is a reason that it was sealed and $8, because it was absolute garbage. The pieces are just the flimsiest pieces of crap you've ever seen. They're so easy to just tear in half. And also, every piece is only like one of 2 orientations. It's either the vertical orientation or the horizontal orientation. If you look closely at the puzzle on the close-ups, you can see that every piece is shaped exactly the same, which made it an absolute headache to put together. It took me multiple weeks to do that puzzle because it was just destroying my head. Now there was a scene I cut late into the editing process because it just wasn't working. There was supposed to be a really energetic or high energy rant going on here of Stuart bouncing around the apartment, basically yelling about the history of puzzles and how they relate to human life and everything, and it was stupid and really funny, but I should have directed it a lot differently. It needed to be a lot more high energy. Nick did a great job of what he did, but I should have just directed it a lot differently, which is unfortunate because there's a lot of funny stuff in there, but it just didn't end up making it into the final cut. Now, this song, as well as the fight scene song, just come from the YouTube audio library, which is great. It's fantastic. That thing is great. A lot of easily used music, copyright free. It's just good stuff. I wanted to make more of a mess of this apartment, but this was my cinematographer's apartment. He didn't want to make mess, but whatever. It's called committing to the bit, man. Ideally, what I wanted was literally like the floor covered in shit, in just everything possible. I think that would have made it a lot better. I spent a good 30 minutes on this, trying to figure out if I could replicate the That's So Raven vision effect. I didn't end up doing it. It seemed like more trouble than it was worth, and I really needed to finish editing. I was getting very, very tired of looking at all this footage. So this is supposed to be a library. This is not actually a library. This is a bookstore. This is a great little bookstore up in the North End because it's so messy and cluttered, and it just works perfectly for what it is. and it's just amazing in terms of set. It really looks fantastic. And the people there are great and willing to work with us with what we need, which is fantastic. I couldn't make a better set than this. This scene also starts off the running count of the amount of fucks said and fuck adjacent words in the film. I believe there is 19 fucks and fuck adjacent words, which is amazing because that averages over 1 fuck per minute, which is just great. It's an amazing average. I really wish I directed this one as well better, because I just needed more consistent dialogue on it, and I don't know how well this bit translates of the like flashbacks throughout the last day. This was the only shot I could use for this one, because this is the only shot where he actually said the word retrace, which was an important word. What's interesting is that I wrote this script, and then like a week and a half later or something, for some reason I got onto a binge of Timothy Goes to School. I just felt like a little bit of nostalgia in my life. And there's an episode where one of the characters loses something and retraces her steps by walking backwards. So I guess that maybe that episode subconsciously stayed in the back of my head for like 20 years. But hey, it's whatever. Now this park scene was a headache too. This was the first scene we filmed, and it was the first one that a bunch of us filmed after a long break of being on sets and stuff because of COVID, because a lot of us took a year off. And so it was just really, really slow going to get this scene done. And we got partway through at this park before a group of children, like a large group of like school children or something, showed up in a little off section of the park for some kind of event where they had like those big like paper dragon things. And so it ruined our audio, and we couldn't keep doing it, so we had to do it the next day. And thankfully my Sammy here, Hope, was willing to come in for an extra day when she wasn't supposed to. She's very cooperative. And also, Hope is a great example as to why consistency is really nice in terms of dialogue, like saying your lines and stuff, because this line right here, that audio is from a completely different shot. It's from a different take. This one, that shot looked better, but it didn't sound as good. So I was able to lift her line directly from a different shot and put it into that one because she was very consistent with her lines. So that's just a note for all you actors out there. If you can say all your lines consistently in a film, it really helps in the editing process if you need to. Here's another good Nick improv. His comedic timing is absolutely perfect. So these walking shots were done about 5 months after the entire rest of the short, and I don't think it's super noticeable unless you're really looking at his hair. But even then, it's not that bad. Now this is the piddliest little fucking garage sale you've ever seen in your goddamn life. I wish we had more stuff to fill it out, and maybe some extras looking around. And also more money in the cash box, and we should have put a $5 sticker on that sweater, which that was my mistake. I completely forgot to do that. And that little wire in there was to hold the $5 down because it was kind of windy that day. Oh man, this was a trip to film. So yeah, all these walking shots were done 5 months after the fact. Oh, I just noticed you can see the sweater he takes off in that one close-up shot for a little bit. So, you know, continuity is off, but whatever. And this is an example of like visions being more grandiose than feasibly possible, because like in my head the puzzle piece dancers were always like in like a bodysuit with really big puzzle pieces. It was great. The dog shots here though worked pretty much exactly how I was hoping.
Thanks, dog.
It's dumb. It's really dumb. And if you couldn't tell, that's my voice. That was my like director's cameo, as well as a lot of the voiceover in the fight scene. I like to call this film my my voice acting reel. And this scene is where I was able to throw in another one of my major hobbies, which is puppetry and puppet making. I made this puppet for this film, specifically for this film, and I I think it turned out pretty well. It's only my 4th puppet I've ever made. I think it did pretty well. I'm not doing the voice, obviously. The voice actor is off screen. So me as the main puppeteer and Laura as the right-hander are crouched behind that the counter there, and it was incredibly uncomfortable. And you can kind of tell how uncomfortable it is because the left hand barely moves at all because I just didn't have the room to maneuver where I was. If I had tried to raise my hand up a little more, my arm would have been seen in the shot, and then it wouldn't have worked out. You can kind of see my my arm there in the navy sweater behind the blue sweater there that the puppet is wearing. Oh, I think you can see. Yeah, you can see me right there too. I never saw that either. Oh my god. Yeah, it's a little bit of a disaster. The other film I did with the puppet in it worked a lot better. But whatever. I do still like the picture consistency that I did with this. With this being the puppet, and then afterwards we go back to it and it's the woman. Just to show fully that, you know, this is just a complete hallucination. And this woman isn't actually a puppet. It's just how Stuart is seeing her right now. Because he's just in a mental fog. He's been awake for over a day and a half at this point. He's a strange guy. Now you can tell from this shot I was watching Arrested Development before before editing this short. That was never in the original script or anything, but I remembered it as I was editing. I was like, oh my god, that'd be kind of funny. And then, of course, you have to have your basic thugs in any silly short film. Talking like 1940s gangsters or whatever. I really wish on set I had thought of the idea of making sure one of them calls the big guy boss. I'm like, hey, boss! But, whatever. The fight scene is completely different as to how it was originally written. Actually, originally it was going to be kind of a normal fight scene of Stuart just throwing out like some badass kung fu shit or something and going after the thugs. But we got to the alley where we were gonna film it when we were location scouting, and we saw this parking garage, and we were like, oh my god, this looks just like a Street Fighter background. So we just had to do it like this, and I think it turned out really well. This is like one part. This from this point on, from the fight scene onward, is what I'm really happy with in this film. I just think this looks great, and like it works with my style of I do my own graphics, but I'm not good at graphic design because. Like, it's all a hallucination, so the shitty graphics work in the context. That was supposed to be a boat oar at some point, but my cinematographer forgot to bring the boat oar, whatever, so I just pulled out my window scraper from my car. Oh, man. And Will here, who plays the third thug as well as the coffee guy, was actually a last-minute replacement. He was our gaffer and grip on our crew. And the guy who was supposed to play these parts emailed me the day of and said, oh, hey, I got COVID from a convention I was just at. And so, obviously, he couldn't be on set. And thankfully, Will is super willing to jump in. It's not super easy to hear, but he's, that's like a Hadoken, like a copyright-free Hadoken is what we were going for in terms of the joke. Instead of Hadoken, he's saying, how are you, Ken? Which I find funny. And and this is all just Nick just being Nick. We just filmed him for like a good minute doing random like hand shit. It was great. It worked out really well. Originally in the script, he was gonna wake up in a dumpster, and I still wish we had dedicated that to that. We had stuck to that bit a bit more. Because he was gonna wake up in the dumpster and then like throw a leg over and then fall out of the dumpster. Because I like who doesn't love a good pratfall, you know? It might be cliche, but it's funny as hell. But I think it still works overall. And now the Willy Wonka stuff coming up at the end here is was always in the start. When I wrote it, I was like, okay, he's gonna find the piece. He has to run home. it has to be that like that's a Willy, anything that of someone finds a thing that they've been looking for and then they run home excitedly, like that's straight up just Willy Wonka, because that song is absolutely iconic. And I think it works really well. I'm really, really happy with the running montage. Again, 5 months after the fact, we filmed this. But I think it worked. I think it works pretty well. There's not really a lot of, like, consistency errors unless you're really looking for them. Except for the shoes there. You could definitely tell those are different shoes. And I didn't catch that until we were at the screening and Nick pointed it out. Now, the ending here was not originally what the ending is, in terms of Trent running in and decking Stewart for just being an asshole. Originally, it was just the I found it, and I knew that wasn't really funny, so I was going to go into like like an 80s, where are they now type segment with all the characters. But on set, Angela was like, what if, like, Trent should just, like, come in and just absolutely deck him? And we thought, you know, if you get some height on a jump and we freeze frame that could be really fucking funny. And then throwing the "We'll be right back" jingle in there, I think really, really seals the deal on that joke being what it is. And, you know, the whole thing is just one giant meme, so I'm fine with keeping it as that. I don't write drama. I'm not a drama person. I like making people laugh more, and if you don't do drama well, it's really corny and cheesy and bad. But even when comedy isn't amazing, it can still be really funny, and that's what I'm going for. Anyway, that's Peace of Mind. I hope you enjoyed it, at least somewhat.